Thank you, Last Corla, and I welcome the opportunity to contribute to the debate on the Equal Status Amendment Bill. And I'd just like to say at the outset that I will be supporting this piece of legislation. Minister, one of the distinguishing features of recent budgets has been the impact they have had in increasing the levels of inequality in our society. This has been highlighted by Social Justice Ireland, TASC, St Vincent de Paul, and the government's own think tank, the ESRI. Today in our society, the top 10% of the population, based on income, have nearly 14 times the disposable income of the lowest 10%. In 1980, this was 8 times more. So even in the so-called boom years in the economy, and given that the government still says that we're still at income levels of 2003-2004, income inequality has grown and continues to grow. It should be the aim of every government to protect the weakest in society, and it is clear that this government is not interested in achieving this equality. We should be long past the rhetoric that a rising tide will lift all boats, and if our economy improves, incomes will improve with it. Even if we didn't need a reminder, the publication of the so-called Anglo tapes over the last week has shown us all in a very stark way how a well-paid coterie of bankers, who are more than likely in the top 30% of income earners, felt about the rest of Irish society. We cannot expect people like that to bring equality to our society. The only way that citizens can expect to have equality recognised is through the actions of a government that places the equality of citizens at the centre of all decision making. We are now in the budgetary process for 2014, and an integral part of that process should be an impact assessment of all the proposed measures and decisions made based on the lowest impact on equality. Then and only then can citizens be certain that their government will be working to protect their interests and not the vested interests of the top 10% of income earners. Income inequality is not the only area where equality should be measured. Equality should be measured across all government and public policy actions, as is outlined in this bill, and this is the only way that equality for citizens can be achieved. I think we only have to look at a couple of recent decisions taken by this government, particularly in relation to the ending of the mobility allowance and the motorised transport grant, to highlight the inequality directly shown by public bodies. This decision was justified on the basis that public transport would pick up the slack. But even a 5-minute conversation with any recipient of the mobility allowance from a rural area would immediately have shown that this could not be the case, because there is no public transport in rural areas. And I think the announcement of the continuation of the mobility allowance for another number of months shows clearly that this decision by the government was wrong. And if it had been equality proof prior to being made, it wouldn't have been made at all. And also last year, as another example, I raised directly with the Taoiseach the unequal treatment of rural patients where they were being denied specialist medical treatment in Dublin hospitals because they did not live within the catchment area of these hospitals, even though these treatments were only available in Dublin for them. And that shows the inequality that is inherent in our system, where citizens should have equal access to all services across the state. An equality proofing of these type of decisions would clearly highlight the inequality in them and force the authorities to look at different options and to provide different policy options that don't impact negatively on citizens across the country.